I loved Phuket so much, and I was so stupid and so stoned that I said, I'm going to give up this rent controlled apartment. That was really, really dumb. Picked a fight with $1 million client in a meeting, caused her to burst into tears in the meeting and run out of the room. And that was the end of my advertising career. I have this recurring fantasy that when I go through that gate, I enter a dimension wherein I have lived with this woman for 35 years. I have never spent a night away from her. I have these recurring fantasies and I live inside my head.
What's the story, everybody? Pete here from Thairish Times. I hope you're doing well. So today, my guest, he's featured on the channel now a number of times. His name is Steve Rosse. You might have remembered him from the first interview we did with him back in December 2021 titled My Terrible Thai American Marriage. And in that interview, if you haven't watched it, just go back and watch it. But Steve, in that interview, he told us he's going to retire in Thailand. And he did just that. He's been in a place called Turtle Beach for over a year now. A lot of you will know that already because you follow his YouTube channel. If you don't, you're in for a treat today, let me tell you. So Steve is going to talk about Thailand, retired life in Thailand, his opinions on Westerners in Thailand, along the lines of, you know, how they dress and their hygiene. We're going to get into that as well. And we're going to talk about the regrets Steve has in his life, which include making a $1 million client cry in a meeting, which cost him a career in advertising, giving up a rent-controlled apartment in New York City, and then Steve is going to talk about a fantasy he has every day in Thailand, a Thailand fantasy. He hasn't told this on his own channel, so we're getting the exclusive here, and who doesn't like a fantasy? I don't know what I'm saying. Right, without further ado, let's go meet Steve Rosse. Put the comments in the comment section. I'm sure you have your own opinions about this interview. I definitely want to read them. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you aren't already subscribed. Let's go meet Steve Rosse again. All right, well, let's start. So, Steve, thanks very much for coming on again. This is part 3.
Thank you for inviting me. I very much appreciate it, Pete.
Got loads of stuff to get into today, right? So you've been living in Thai Muang or Turtle Beach, as you call it on YouTube, for over a year. How has life been?
Yeah, 18 months and good effort on the Thai Muang. Way to go. Yeah, several people here, we call it Turtle Beach because most Falang cannot pronounce Thai Muang. And it is great. I love it here, Pete. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. And I keep thinking, well, there must be a fly in the ointment. There must be something wrong with this. And I haven't found it. Now, in the last 4 or 5 weeks, this beach has been discovered by Farang on Phuket and Khao Lak. And we're seeing a whole lot more Farang than we were 18 months ago when I got here, or even a month ago. And that worries me a bit because, of course, when that happens, the prices of everything go up. The noise factor goes up. You tend to see, you know, guys walking around the 7-Eleven in a Speedo and no shirt, no shoes. And, you know, the whole place goes downhill as soon as it's discovered.
You have to admit as well that you play a part in that as well, because you're on YouTube.
Yeah.
You're showing your life, and this is great.
Oh.
Beach. This is what I do in the morning. I'm going for my walks on the beach, and people are watching this going, I want a piece of that as well.
Yeah, I have not met, nobody has come to me and said, I've moved here because of you. 2 Australian fellas, Rob, R-O-B-B, and Ross, R-O-S-S. What are the odds of that? Both came here because they saw Tim's channel. Tim's got 5 times the audience I do, but even so, no YouTube channel will ever have the impact that that international airport is going to have in 5 years. That, you know, they didn't plan that airport and budget that money because Steve Rosse says, oh, thank God I found my Turtle Beach. So if 1 or 2 Farang come here, even just to visit because of me, you know, probably tens of thousands since the 80s, tens of thousands of tourists went to Phuket because of the articles I wrote in in-flight magazines all over the Pacific Rim, pimping that place. So if I'm angry at the overdevelopment of Phuket, I have to take some responsibility for that. And people say that in the comments. People say, well, Steve, If you don't want it to be developed, shut the hell up. But I'm not one to shut up. And all I talk about is Steve Rosse. And right now, Steve Rosse is enjoying life on Turtle Beach.
All right, Steve, let's get back to Steve Rosse. Okay.
Oh, yeah, all right.
Are you still, do you still plan on spending your last days on Turtle Beach?
Yeah. I thought my last days were going to be 6 months ago. Honest to God, you may remember, I came here thinking that I would get a year in Thailand and that would be it. And here I am 18 months later, healthier than I have probably been since my 20s. I stopped smoking on Thanksgiving. What is that, 6 weeks without a cigarette? Me, pack a day for 50 solid years, straight through 2 heart attacks, kept smoking. And I quit here. 6 weeks is nothing to pat myself on the back about yet, but that's better than many of my attempts in the last 20 years. And I ride the bicycle every day. I eat very little because it's too damn hot. Other than weird skin rashes. Oh, and I lost a tooth. Before people comment, I had the appointment today to take the measurements to produce a fake tooth to fill this gap. I had this tooth pulled on Boxing Day because the pain was I couldn't eat Christmas dinner. And that was a big waste. I was invited to a good Christmas dinner. So on Boxing Day, I had the thing pulled. Well, then the dentist who does this kind of prosthetic work was closed for New Year. She just opened and I got an appointment today. So I've begun the process of getting that thing filled because I whistle. My sibilants whistle now when I talk. And it is unsightly. I have been told that for a YouTuber, I need to have better, more attractive teeth. So I will bow to that wisdom. And certainly the work is cheap enough here that it's worth going ahead and doing. And that she's right here in town. I don't even have to leave Turtle Beach to get it done. So I'm going to get a prosthetic.
Steve, you've survived 2 heart attacks. You just mentioned right there, right? I'm assuming you have a good health insurance policy set up.
No, I had to. I went to an agent for my visa this time. And with that came a promise of a driver's license, which was never delivered, and accident insurance. Prakan ubatihe. So if I fall off the motorcycle, there's a piece of paper that says I'm supposed to get paid a little bit of money for that. As far as health insurance, no. But I've had a hernia repair surgery 3 days in Panga Hospital with an open procedure. Had a tooth pulled. I've been diagnosed on my blood pressure meds by a local doctor, and I buy them from his wife, the pharmacist, which if you haven't noticed, just as an aside, that's a very common thing in Thailand. A medical student will look for a pharmacy student to marry so that they can set up a practice anywhere. And all he does is prescribe drugs and says, go over to my wife's window over there and she'll sell you these meds. And he simply writes scripts. That's his whole practice, prescribing medicine. I went into this local doctor. I fell off the bicycle. Eventually, I had to have 5 stitches in my head, and I'm bleeding all down my face. And he threw me out. He said, no, you go to the hospital. Don't come in here. So all he does is prescribe drugs, which his wife then sells. And that is a fairly common thing. But my point is, I have a point. Don't despair. Don't give up on me. I'm getting there. I've been able to take care of myself pretty well out of pocket for 18 months. And yes, as I age, the problems will get bigger. But at the moment, like I said, I stress test every morning, 20 kilometers on the bicycle, between 2 and 4 kilometers walking in the soft sand on the beach. And then I carry about 20 pounds of net floats and old cigarette lighters and big hunks of coral back to the house on my back, on the bicycle. And I am in better physical health right now than I have been, God, at least since 97, at least since I was 40.
Yeah, but Steve, all it takes is one sickness,
Sure.
one illness, and it can wipe out all your finances.
Yeah, well, my finances is nothing. I don't have savings. I don't have investments. I don't have property. I get 1,500 US a month from the Social Security Administration on the condition I never work a day again in my life, a condition I'm very happy to fulfill. That's 50,000 baht. That's what I live on. And at the end of the month, so far, I've been having anywhere from 10 to 12,000 baht left over. So I've got a little cushion in the bank. But yeah, I am aware I could be wiped out. But Pete, I dreamed about this every single day for 25 years. As you may remember, having read in the book Leaving Thailand, there was not a single day of 25 years that I didn't cling to the dream of coming back to a beach in Thailand. That's what sustained me. That's what kept me from throwing myself off buildings for 25 years. And I'm going to be here. And yeah, I don't have an insurance policy, but the odds are I've had 2 STEMI heart attacks, all right? ST elevation myocardial infarctions. They're the worst kind. I've had 2 in the same vessel, the LAD, the left anterior descending artery, the artery that feeds oxygen to the heart. I should not have survived either of those. That is called the LAD STEMI is called the widowmaker. Nobody survives it. My LAD was 99% occluded both times. The spigot of oxygen to my heart muscle was 99% shut off twice. Every doctor I've spoken to says you will not survive the third. And their intention is to get me to quit smoking. So they scare me and they say, you will not survive the third. Your death will be a STEMI in the LAD. It will be brief and incredibly painful. Okay, well, insurance will not save me from that. And I will not end up a burden. If that is, in fact, the outcome of all of this, I will not end up a burden on the Thai system in a Thai hospital. I'm counting on those odds. You know, any insurance company in the world would run the, what do they call it? The tables, the actuarial tables on me and say, this guy's a bad risk. He's going to have a heart attack in the next couple of years. And they would not insure me, or they would insure me at a very, very high premium. They would bet the odds. So I am too.
A question that just came into my mind there after watching one of your videos the other day. You don't swim on Turtle Beach.
Oh God, I don't swim anywhere.
Why not?
I'm from Iowa.
You're living 20 meters from the beach. Why don't you get in? Or from the sea?
Well, yeah, I'm from Iowa. We don't swim. We don't know what an ocean is. We are Iowa, where I grew up, is as far away from a coast as you can be physically in the United States and still be in the United States. Yeah, I have a pathologic fear of water I can't see the bottom of. And this beach, like I said, it's extremely deep right offshore, which is one reason the turtles like it. Our beach, you don't see anybody jogging on this beach because the angle of the sand is like this permanently, and it goes that angle straight down. There is no shelf, no continental shelf here, or very little. And it's dangerous year-round to swim here, even when the water is calm. It is dangerous to swim here. They have the red flags out year-round. But I don't swim. There are falang here, particularly Australians, who don't give a rat's ass and will go in this water. I don't, because it's a pathological fear. Even if this was a little enclosed lagoon and the water was only 6 feet deep, if I could not see the bottom, I would not go in it. But I'm very, very happy walking on the beach. And I spend, a couple hours every day walking on the beach, and another couple hours or an hour and a half riding my bike parallel to the beach, 50 feet away from it. I get plenty of beach. I mean, I see it. There it is. I see the ocean right now. There it is. I get plenty of beach. I don't need to go in the water. And the other reason the turtles like it here is because the only protein a sea turtle eats is jellyfish. And we got a million of them here. We got lots of jellyfish off Turtle Beach. So no, that is not swimming. Actually, swimming is not an attraction for me. I can live without it.
Are you smoking copious amounts of broccoli over there?
Yeah, bro, not today. I want you to know, I do not remember the last time I waited till after 5 o'clock in the evening. I don't appear on camera inebriated. And so I have waited today. And I am compulsively preparing paper mache paste while we're talking. I'm breaking up These are wads of cellulose that I get. I grind up cardboard boxes, and then I break it up into popcorn-sized pieces. I add school glue. I press it into a mold of a turtle shell, and I will decorate my float for the Turtle Day Parade with these shells. I have a local artist paint them up and say on them, "Rak Tai Muang, Rak Tao Tale." I love Tai Muang. I love sea turtles. And while we're talking, because I have not had my thumb to suck today, I am compulsively breaking up my clods of cellulose.
You've been smoking all your life, haven't you?
Since 15, both products since 15. I don't want to know what my lungs look like. And I used to transcribe in radiology. I listened to and typed 100 chest x-rays a day, 100 PA lateral chest x-rays every day. And there would always be somebody dying of cancer. And I know what that sounds like when a doctor reads a film and pronounces that death sentence. And I have always imagined that someday that would be me. As it turns out, my heart has beat the lungs, or will likely beat the lungs to the finish line. Before I left the States 18 months ago, I had a complete physical and not a spot on my lungs. I'm sure they're bright yellow from the nicotine. If you could stick a scope down my throat and light up and look at the inside of my lungs, I'm sure they're a beautiful, bright canary yellow. But there's no tumors, there's no growths, there's no cracks, there's no fissures, no atelectasis.
How about your memory from over 50 years of broccoli smoking?
I mean, what's your name again? Oh, my memory's terrible, dude. Awful, awful, awful. I forget people's names 5 minutes after I meet them. Seriously, it is becoming a problem. I forget appointments. I forget promises I've made. I forget whole incidences, whole chapters out of my life. The Carter administration, it's just a blur to me. I barely remember it. That was the beginning of my political consciousness. High school, no memory of high school. So yeah, that is a problem. That is exactly what my mother told me when I was in middle school and I started smoking broccoli. She said, "Yeah, it's gonna screw up your memory. You're gonna forget things." Yeah, Mom, what do you know? Yeah, well, Mom was right. And Mom has lived long enough to see that she was right. And I have apologized and admitted to her that she was right, that everything she said would go wrong if I did that behavior and all of the other self-destructive behaviors that I exhibited in my life. Yeah, she's lived long enough to see that she was right. I don't know that that brings her any pleasure, but at least her opinion is vindicated, and I have admitted that to her.
Steve, your life has taken many twists and turns. Do you have any regrets?
Yeah. Oh God, yes. Oh God, yes.
Name a couple there for us.
Well, just as our Thailand specific, A, the woman I married, B, giving up my career in the movie industry and moving to Thailand, giving up New York City and a career that paid me buku money and allowed me to eat lunch with movie stars, to move to Phuket to teach English at the Phuket Yacht Club for $4 an hour. That was stupid. I gave up a rent-controlled apartment on Broadway. A rent control. If I had kept that, I've said this to you in another interview. If I had kept that apartment, and they can't kick you out of a lease in New York City. It's called rent controlled, and they can't raise your rent. I could have stopped working in my 40s, and me and my family raised my children on the profits off subletting that apartment in Manhattan. But I didn't. I thought I was never coming back from Thailand. I loved Phuket so much, and I was so stupid and so stoned that I said, I'm going to give up this rent-controlled apartment. That was really, really dumb. Arguing with $1 million client. I wrote advertising in Iowa for 3 years. I was really good at it. I won industry awards for my billboards on the highway. You can only fit 7 words on a billboard. I was getting bonuses and awards for writing 7-word messages. And I picked a fight with $1 million client in a meeting and caused her to burst into tears in the meeting and run out of the room. And that was the end of my advertising career. And I had to go back into the cubicle and transcribe medical dictation for the rest of my working life. Because in about, 3 minutes, I torpedoed a 3-year-old career that I loved and I would have been happy to stay in until retirement. And I torpedoed it with my mouth in about 3 minutes. Yeah, lots and lots and lots of regrets. Sure.
Would you say you were difficult to work with?
Yes, still am, I'm sure. If I did any work today, I'm sure I would be I wouldn't want to work with me. I don't shut up.
You'd be a manager's nightmare, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, that, my degree, my bachelor's degree is in stage management. I was a stage manager in the theater industry. So I had, at least at one time, organizational skills, and I was able to shut up for 2 hours, stage right, and just call the cues for the show. I was able to control my compulsive speech on stage, which is not uncommon. I worked with 2 actors who had very pronounced stammers. When they got on stage, no, rehearsed, memorized lines, they don't stammer. This is why people with speech impediments are often drawn to the theater, because it's a place. People with Tourette's don't have outbursts if they're on stage. People with Tourette's tend to be musicians or actors. And I was able to control my compulsive speech as a stage manager off stage. So I had very good, as a young man, organizational skills, very analytical mind, very A to B to C to D thinker. And if I had stayed there, I probably would have had a wonderful career in the theater. But no, something else caught my mind, caught my eye, and I went running after that. And then something else caught my eye, and I went running after that. And then something else, and somebody else, and somebody else. And yeah.
Steve, what would you tell your 20-year-old self?
Quit smoking and
That's
lose
it.
some weight. No, I think probably I would tell my 20-year-old self, either if you're going to take, because 19 is when 20. My first year in college at 19, I was an art major. I was a ceramicist. I was a production potter. I sat at a wheel and produced bowls and pitchers and cups, coffee mugs for a year. And then I switched to theater. At 20, I would tell myself, if you're going to take a theater degree, stay in the show business. You will have a tremendous career in the movie industry. Don't give up your apartment on Broadway when you get there. When you're 33, don't give up a rent-controlled apartment on Broadway. Don't go to Thailand permanently. Go to Thailand in the winter time when people are not shooting movies in New York City. Come back to New York City in the summertime when there's plenty of work in the movie industry. That was then. Now it's all different. People are shooting movies in their iPhones, and it's not seasonal anymore. And special effects will make it winter, make it summer, make it anything you want. But I would have told myself, if you're going to take a theater degree, stick with it. Don't throw it all away to move to Thailand and teach English, or pick another degree. Take banking, take finance, take law, take medicine, take something you can make a living with. Take bricklaying, take welding, take plumbing. Take something you can make money with. Don't live a life on the stage unless you're going to stay there. But he wouldn't have listened. That prick, I know him. I've lived in this head for 66 years. He would not have listened to me. He'd have told me to go. Sorry, YouTube. He would have had something mean and nasty to say to me, and yeah.
So, Steve, any contact with your ex-wife now that you've been in Thailand for over a year? Nothing.
Oh, God, no. Not 15 years before I came here. Not since 2003. Our divorce was finalized in 2003. That is the last time we had any contact.
Your kids must have told her that you're living over here, no?
I haven't a clue. I have no idea what they talk about with their mother.
Are you are you in contact with your kids?
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's never kind of a conversation between how your ex-wife is doing?
No, my son talks to me more frequently than my daughter. My son is a very, very kind, sweet, generous man. And he goes out of his way to touch base with me on Facebook every week, send me emails and check on me and things like that. And he has told me a few things about my ex-wife. She, like I said in the very first interview in Benja Kitty Park, which thanks for that. I don't know if I ever thank you for that, but thank you again for that interview. She is in poor health. She is a ward of the state. She has a benign but growing tumor in her front lobe, her front right lobe. It has robbed her of the sight in one eye. She can't work. She's on 100% disability. She is supported by the state of Iowa. She probably will never come back to Thailand because there won't be any of that here. She hasn't really been close to her family since '97, since we left. So I think she will. I have no idea if she's become a citizen yet or who's signing off on a green card, because I'm certainly not. But she is a ward of the state and an invalid. And that is all I know. And I am not interested to know even that much. I have absolutely no interest in that woman.
Not even to just reach out to her and wish her well for the rest of her life or anything like that, no?
No. You know, I was in love with a woman when I left Thailand the first time in when was the Gulf War? The first Gulf War, 91. I left Thailand for a year, and you probably know this story. I left a woman behind who found somebody else in that year while I was gone. I think of her every single day, single day, and have since 1991. I'll share something with you that I've never shared on my channel or anywhere else. It'll be the first time I voice this out loud. I have a fantasy. You know, every morning I ride the bike 10 kilometers down to the end of the road into the turtle sanctuary, and it's absolutely empty. It's mangrove forest. There's nothing. There's no coconut plantations. There's no people living in there. There's a little ranger station in there, which is never manned since COVID. And I ride my bike down there to the end of it. I walk on the beach. I come back. I ride home. So I'm riding my bicycle in that forest, that mangrove forest, for 5 kilometers. You get to a gate, the gate of the park. 5 kilometers on, 5 kilometers back, you exit the gate. I have this recurring fantasy that when I go through that gate, I enter a dimension wherein I have lived with this woman for 35 years. I have never spent a night away from her. And she and I are retired now, and we live on Turtle Beach, and in the mornings I ride my bicycle. And as I am riding my bicycle through that park, I imagine that she is back here in this room making breakfast for us. And if such a dimension existed, that park, that ride from the gate to the end and back would be exactly as it is now. You can't look around you and say, this is not that dimension where she and I have lived together and had a wonderful life and had children and had careers and traveled and done all this stuff. This could be what I'm seeing, this empty mangrove forest and this 2-lane road, this empty 2-lane road. This is exactly what it would look like in that universe. So I can pretend for those few minutes, it's probably about half an hour down, half an hour back, maybe an hour in that forest, that part of the forest. I can entertain this fantasy. And I was going to say it's comforting. It's not comforting. It's compulsion. It's you know, there's a whole chapter in Leaving Thailand about a fantasy I had every day sitting in my damn cubicle in the psychiatric hospital. I have these recurring fantasies, and I live inside my head. I don't really live so well now, more. But when I was living in that cubicle for 25 years, I wasn't there mentally. I lived in other places in my head, and that was one place. So now I'm living in this alternate dimension, this Marvel Comics universe dimension of Steve and this woman having had a life together.
Where is she now, Steve?
She lives in London. Well, last I knew, I have been able, since coming here, to stop lurking on her Facebook page. And the Facebook page of her sister-in-law and her brother-in-law and her husband and her child. And yeah, that was creepy as hell. I admit it. I did it for years. I couldn't stop myself. I have stopped myself here. But last I checked in, she married a very wealthy man, and they've been married for 30 years, and they had a great life. They live in a house that was listed on Zillow for 2.5 million British pounds when they bought it. That's what they paid for it. That was about 10 years ago, I think. Big, beautiful, historic house, beautiful. And the family travels all over the world, and she's a grandmother now. One of her children had a child, and she, leaving me was the best decision I think she probably ever made in her life. She's had a terrific life, and I wouldn't take that away from her. But I need something. I need, a thumb to suck, and so.
Did you send her a message on Facebook, or was there any kind of contact, or were you just lurking?
For the most part, lurking. I reached out a couple times. And I don't want to, I won't go beyond that, but I reached out a couple times, but
and did she reply?
Make me feel better. I don't want to go into that. But
I'd love to go into that.
Listen, you know what? During the Me Too movement, you remember the Me Too movement?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wrote a letter of apology to a woman I had known, who I treated shabbily. And I thought I was doing what the culture was urging me to do. As a man, I was taking responsibility for my churlish behavior toward a woman. And she had her lawyer send me a cease and desist letter. And don't ever contact me again. So that's what I got for my trouble for trying to be a modern, evolved feminist male. Yeah. But I have not, other than the fantasy in the forest in the mornings, I don't lurk anymore on her page or any of those other pages. I don't think about her when I'm not in the forest, as long as I have a paper mache to break up and have YouTube to watch and YouTube to make and things. I'm able to let that go. And I think that's healthy. I think, honest to God, I know happiness and mental health are not geography specific. But moving to this place, I think has helped me to become healthier and stronger and happier. And I don't know that I certainly couldn't do it in America for 25 years. I couldn't do it. I couldn't come close. And here in 18 months, it just all feels natural.
Would you be interested in finding a partner in Thailand?
Yeah, but I can't afford it. And I'm very, 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 like I said, 50,000 baht. Here on Turtle Beach, I live like a king for 50,000 baht. I've stopped doing my millionaire weekends. I was taking myself to Phuket for 3 days every month when my Social Security check hit the bank, and doing all the things that fat old men do on Phuket. And it was okay. It wasn't like it was 30 years ago. That whole scene has changed terrifically, tremendously. It's all now. And the women working in the commercial sex industry have changed. The touristy things, the architecture, everything's different on Phuket. And so I stopped doing it in order to save money for my hernia repair, which turned out to be less than 10,000 baht. And now I could go. I could resume those millionaires' weekends on Phuket. And I don't feel the need. I'm perfectly happy staying here and avoiding that island. And there's no commercial sex industry here. Everybody here, when I first got here, had a sister-in-law, a daughter-in-law, a female cousin they wanted to set me up with. They would bring these women over and say, you need a maid. A man can't do his own laundry. You need a maid. Isn't she cute? And then they realized over a period of months how little money Steve actually has. And they stopped. They've all stopped introducing me to their sister-in-laws. And I think that's probably wise. I don't think 50,000 baht for a falang. I think Thai families of 6-8 people live just fine on 50,000 baht a month. I don't think a falang, paying the falang price for everything, and a Thai woman who's with that falang because she sees security, she has chosen him for security. I don't think 50,000 baht is enough to keep them both happy. And at 66 years of age, I don't feel any pressing, everything still works. It works better than it did before I had my prostate enucleated. Having my prostate enucleated was the best thing that ever happened to my sex life. But there is no longer that young man's insistent drive to, clean out the ductwork. You don't have to do that anymore. And that's fine with me. And I'm at the moment, I'm really happy living here alone, And if I don't make the bed for 3 weeks, that's fine. If I don't, launder the sheets for 3 weeks, nobody can.
But your answer initially, it sounded like you're kind of open to the idea. If you
Yeah, sure. Oh, I think, I'm not. Forgive me a second. It's way over there. All right, I'll stop compulsively picking apart cellulose. I think it would be terribly sad to give up completely on romance. I'm a hopeless romantic. I believe in romance. I believe in true love. I think I've experienced true love with 3 women in my life, one of whom sent me eventually a cease and desist letter. And I could see that happening again. I wouldn't mind some physical contact now and then, but I'm an only child of a single parent, and I can't have just anybody sharing my living space. I have proven that time and time and time again. I don't do roommates. And I have only lived with 3 women in my life. I've had weekends, I've gone on vacations with women, but to actually cohabitate where her tampons are in my bathroom, 3 in my entire life. And it did not end well. Yeah, any of those. It did not end well. But, hope springs eternal in the human breast. Yeah, if it happens, that'd be great.
All right, Steve. So I have a question here from a subscriber. It goes by the name William Hartz. And he said, we viewers generally take Steve's critical comments with a grain of salt, yet many times he reacts angrily when receiving criticism about himself from his fans. Is this strong reaction due to his egotistical nature?
Sure, let's call it that. I'm happy with that. Hi, Bill. Thanks for your question. What's the next question?
You're not gonna elaborate on that anymore.
No, he's right. For whatever reason, yeah, I'm very thin-skinned, and I will react, particularly if someone criticizes the language I use. I edit it for professionally for 25 years. I choose my own words. Nobody tells me what language to use. And yeah, I'm a little brittle. I'm a little quick off the mark to respond to perceived criticism. And because in the comment section, if you don't stick an emoji on there, I can't hear your tone of voice. I can't see your facial expression. And I am predisposed to assume that this is rude. If it's on the borderline between this could be a joke or this could be rude, I will assume it's rude and respond that way. So yeah, Bill is exactly right. There's not really much more to say. Call it whatever you want, wherever it comes from. Being a narcissist, being an only child of a single parent, being 66 years old and living alone, all those regrets that I talked about, whatever it is, yeah, he is correct in his observation. It's an observation that's been made, for a long, long time by a million different people. So I don't think there's not much to go on there.
So you are a self-proclaimed narcissist. Has living in Thailand changed you somewhat, maybe made you less confrontational?
Oh, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? No, that part of me, I think, is still very robust. But I will let go of an argument now. After 3 or 4 exchanges in the comment section, I'll move on because there are new comments, right? There's new comments to go look at. I'll forget all the old comments, including, whatever Bill said that pissed me off. It used to be in the old days, this is why this woman cried in the meeting and ended my advertising career, because I wouldn't let it go. I was picking at a tagline on the front of a cheap 3-fold brochure, and I argued with the tagline. She hadn't written the tagline. The advertising company I had worked for had created this tagline for her and put it on the front of this brochure, and I'm berating her about the language in a single sentence on the front of a brochure. And I wouldn't let it go and wouldn't let it go. And she just wanted to leave the meeting. She just wanted to go home, and I wouldn't let her leave. I won't do that now. I will leave an argument after 3 or 4 back and forth. I'll get bored with it. I'll go look at something else. A butterfly will fly past the window and I will lose interest and I'll move on.
You just move on to the next argument.
Yes, sure. Yeah, I'll go along with that. Yeah. But I also think, when someone says something positive, I say thank you. I used to. I'm not as good now about answering the comments because now there's so many. I'll get 400 or 500 comments on a video. It's like 10% of the people who watch it will comment. So if you say, Steve, I like that very much, I'll give you a heart, I'll give you a like, a thumbs up. But then I move on to the next and the next and the next and the next. I'd have to spend all day answering comments if I did. Now I'm on Grumpy Old Men with Tim Newton, and there's 1,000 comments on those, most of them throwing brickbats at Steve Rosse. So if I answered every comment there, it would take up the whole day, the whole week. So I'm not as good about it, but I really do. I read everything. I read every single comment. And I very much appreciate all the comments, even the crazy ones, the nasty ones, the stupid ones. I appreciate somebody took the time to do that. I enjoy the attention. I'm a narcissist. I enjoy the attention. Any attention is good attention.
Did Tim move to Turtle Beach because you were there and he discovered it when he came down to do Grumpy Old Men?
He came here the first time we shot a Grumpy Old Men. He said, next time you're in Phuket, call me and we'll shoot a Grumpy Old Men. And I said, next time I'm in Phuket, I'm not going to Phuket anymore. And, I was still doing it. For whatever reason, I said, no, I ain't going to that dump. And he said, okay, I'll come up to you. And he came up to me and we started shooting them here. And we kept shooting them here because I wasn't going to leave here. And the more he drove up here, Pete, you crossed the Saracen Bridge from Phang Nga province into Phuket. And it's like going through the gates of Mordor. All of a sudden, people are unfriendly. All of a sudden, the roads suck. I mean, physically, the roads are in terrible repair. They're 2 lanes wide. There's no shoulders. Everywhere else in the country, the roads are great. Infrastructure is great in this country because a Karachikan cannot steal money from a budget unless there's a budget. So they're constantly launching new projects, repair the roads, lay new sewers, build a new hospital, build a new bridge. Not on Phuket, second wealthiest province in the kingdom, and their roads are shit. You cross that bridge, everything's more expensive, and all of a sudden you're in a traffic jam. It takes 2.5 hours to get from the Saracen Bridge to Rawai at the bottom of Phuket. It's insane. So he kept going back and forth, saying, I don't want to leave this place. So he started by renting a room in the boutique hotel here and staying overnight. And then he'd stay 2 days, and then he'd stay 3 days. And now he's just here. He's bought leases, 10-year leases on 3 properties. And he likes it here very much. I don't blame him. Everybody who comes here likes it.
Steve, what are your opinions on Farang in Thailand? Because I saw one of your videos there and you said all white guys in Thailand are dirty, scruffy dudes who dress terribly and smell bad.
Many. And the thing is, the dirty, scruffy, fat, drunk dudes are way more visible than the cool guys. The cool guys tend to stay home. The cool guys have their places they go, the regular places. The cool guys are on a bicycle in the national park. The cool guys are not sitting on Walking Street, Soy Bangla, Loy Kra Road, Soy Nana, where the cameras are, where the vloggers are, right? I look at a lot of vlogs. I look at everything you put out. I look at everything Bangkok Pat and everything, and all these crappy bloggers who think that just carrying a camera down Walking Street is creating content. And what you see in all those vlogs is the Farang Kikai, the bird shit Farang, the fat guy sitting outside 7-Eleven at 9 o'clock in the morning drinking a 20-ounce chan. They're very, very visible. And they don't give the rest of us a good reputation. We all suffer with the way Thai people think of us, because what Thai people see is the Farang Kikai. They're so visible. So that's my take on it.
And the point in the video you were trying to make is you were saying that the white guys dress terribly, where the Chinese, the Japanese come here, the Indians come here, and they take their Sunday best, their best clothes.
The Africans, oh my God. The Africans wear haute couture to go to the beach. Yeah, we I don't know what it is about Europeans, but we take a trip to Thailand as an excuse to stop bathing, stop washing our clothes, to wear. I don't know how many YouTube vloggers I've seen who are wearing an old ratty t-shirt where the neck is wavy because this thing's been laundered 300 times and they pulled it over their head 3,000 times. And the neck, you ever see it? The neckline gets wavy, the elastic lets go. And they get that wavy, Jesus, buy a shirt, dude. Why do you want to appear in public that way? Dirty flip-flops, dirty feet, dirty shorts, old frayed clothes, stained clothes. These people are judging you. Thai people, Asians, generally, I'm saying, judge each other constantly. You know, the Japanese in a Japanese school, or so I've seen on YouTube, will have a line painted on a school wall, a line going down and then a line at 17 degrees, I think it is, which is the approved angle for an introductory bow with someone you've never met. They make students stand at that wall and bow to line up with that line thousands of times to teach them the correct posture when you meet a stranger, all right? They're constantly judging each other on their posture, their dress, their watch, their haircut, their skin. How white is their skin, right? They constantly judge each other. There are all these pronouns that mean you, and before I can talk to you, I need to know where you stand in relation to me in income, education, location, age, gender. All of these things will determine what pronoun I use when I say, do you, Pete, want to go eat dinner with me tonight, right? To say you, I have to know where we are, right? And they're constantly judging each other. So of course, they're going to constantly be judging us. And you're going to need their help to make a life here. When you go in immigration, you're asking that government official for a favor. He's very aware of that. You better be too. He's going to judge you. And he can put your application at the bottom of his stack, or he can put it at the top of his stack. He can find his rubber stamp right away and stamp your passport, or he can dig around in the drawer for 15 minutes looking for it and make you stand there in front of his desk because he doesn't like the way you're dressed. It happens all the time. Dressing like a schlub in this country, going out not shaved, with your hair a mess, with dirt on your clothes, with food in your beard, stinking of alcohol, all of that is painting a target on your back. These people will treat you poorly for appearing that way. They're all about appearances. Everything here is about the surfaces of things, right? Kreng Jai doesn't mean to respect. It means to show respect. You have to Kreng Jai everybody who's above you on the ladder. And it doesn't mean you have to respect them. It means you have to show them respect. Everything is about surfaces. Everything's about appearances here. And man, you need their help. If you're going to make a life here and enjoy it, you, especially if everything you own, you don't own. The land you paid for is owned by this woman you met in a bar. Your pickup truck is owned by this woman you met in a bar. Your visa is dependent on your relationship with her. It's a marriage visa. You're dependent on your relationship with her. Your visa is dependent on your boss letting you keep your job. You're dependent on these people if you're a guest in this kingdom, and antagonizing them with something as simple to correct, as easy to correct as wearing a shirt with buttons and a collar. Why would you do that? Why would you do that to yourself? I don't get it.
Steve, are you going to travel anywhere else? Are you going to live anywhere else in Thailand, or is that it now? Your Turtle Beach is the place?
Yeah, not if I can help it. I mean, every single day I discover something new and fascinating right here. I want to focus on a stretch of coast, maybe 30 kilometers, let's say from Khao Lak to the Saracen Bridge. And maybe, as far inland as Phang Town. This little corner of South Thailand, I want to get to know every shop house. I want to get to know every street corner. There's so much here. You know, you examine the micro to illuminate the macro. You look at the Thai people here, and you can extrapolate from that observation conclusions about all Thai people, or you know, the run-of-the-mill Thai people, even in the central and northern and northeastern parts of the country. I've got everything I need and more. If God gives me another 20 years on this beach, I won't discover everything there is here. And no, I don't want to travel. Inevitably, I probably will. I mean, you know, I would probably like to be in a room with my mother one more time. You know, my cousins, my old friends. If it wasn't a 24-hour plane flight, I would visit the United States.
How old is your mother, Steve?
She'll turn 90 this year. Yeah.
Yeah,
and I live
going
with
back
her.
to the States in 2024 to visit her.
I don't know. I mean, again, it's a 24-hour flight, and I'd have to sleep on her sofa in Iowa. And it takes me a week going that direction to get over the jet lag. I'm awake all night and asleep all day. She's asleep all night, awake all day. I'd be just tiptoeing around her little one-bedroom condo, trying not to wake her up. So there's a lot of things that make it easy to just sit here and put it off and put it off and put it off.
Yeah, but you can't put it off forever. She's 90.
I know. Yeah, I know this. I have plenty
Come on,
of time
man.
to
She's
sit
your
here.
mother.
Yeah, I know. And I lived with her for 8 years before I came here. We were together when I wasn't at work. She and I were together all day and all night for 8 years, Pete, before I left to come here. So, yeah, I know she's my mother. I never had any siblings. I never had a father. Yeah, she's my mother. I am more aware of that than you are, Pete. And this is some of that perceived criticism that Steve reacts badly to. But yeah, it's something I think about. It's something I think about a lot. But anywhere else, no. I went to Cambodia for a visa run. Oh God, after 2 days, I fled that place. I ran like hell to get out of there. Oh, and it wasn't anything wrong with Cambodia. My phone is blinking. Oh, okay. It was Steve. Steve doesn't travel. Steve is a wine that has to stay where he is. I don't travel.
So, Steve, what are we going to see in your channel in 2024?
Well, no more Buntongs videos. That's just a whole lot of work for very little response. That format never found an audience, and it's a lot of work. And I'm retired now, and I'm coming to realize doing something on YouTube, spending 2 weeks composing 7 minutes of video that gets 2,000 views. And I've spent 2 weeks putting this thing together and it gets 2,000 views. You know, that's not, I'm not going to keep doing that. I did get a good response. You know, I just sat and read. People have said, why don't you put out your books as ebooks, as audiobooks? And I do a fairly good reading. I have a good, I deliver lines well. So I read a Christmas story and a New Year's story and put those up as special videos on my channel. Old stories I wrote in the 90s back on Phuket. And they got, you know, about 3,000 or 4,000 views. Typically, a Steve Rosse monologue gets about 7,000 views. And these, simply sitting and reading into my phone. Excuse me. But doing the monologues, just sitting in front of the camera like this on the beach with a cup of coffee, and telling old stories, whether they're about Thailand or about Iowa or New Mexico or New York City, that gets the biggest draw. That gets the most attention. and the best response. And I will probably keep doing that.
And if somebody wants to buy your books, because I've read 2 of your books, if someone wants to buy your books, how do they
Really?
buy it? Yeah, Leaving Thailand and They Kept the Bar Between Us. There's another one,
Aw,
yeah.
Thank you.
If someone wants to buy your books, how do they buy your books?
Go to Amazon, put in Steve Rosse with an E, Rosse.
Well, I'll leave the link in. I'll leave that link in for your books.
Only one is provided by Amazon in print. That is the memoir, Leaving Thailand. The other 4 are ebooks. However, every now and then, some used bookstore somewhere in the world will put an old paper copy of one of my books up for sale, and it will show up in Amazon.
Last question, Steve.
Really?
It's kind of 2 in one here.
Holy shit.
We've
Time
been
goes
go-
fast.
We've
I
been
like
going
this,
for an
Pete.
hour and 10 minutes. Okay, last question, right?
Yeah.
Your favorite Thailand content creator and your least favorite?
Well, you and Tim Newton are my favorites. And if you'll allow me, yeah. Oh, of course, I watch everything you do. You are an excellent interviewer. You are so stable and centered and solid that your interview subject can bounce anything off of you. And it's just baka, 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 baka. You are really good at this. Tim is very, very professional at reading the news. And then on Sundays for Grumpy Old Men, he lets his frivolous, happy, carefree side come out. And we don't talk about the news. And I love to see that new Tim come out once a week. Bangkok Pat is very, very competent, but sometimes it's like going to school. You know, it's educational. It's like he's everybody's favorite teacher at the Bangkok International School. But it's all very well done, very professional. I trust all of his facts and figures and dates, and he scrounges up old video and old pictures like nobody else. Chris at Retired Working for You, again, very professional, very slick, very competent, very corporate, very slick. Everything seems to be an advertisement. Everything seems to be, produced for the benefit of the subject wherever he is. But he enunciates his words very clearly. And I like that. I like a presenter who enunciates clearly. There's another fellow, Thai Talk with Dan, who sounds like Ringo Starr on Quaaludes, and he breaks his sentences at very strange places. And I love to listen to him. I don't like the stories he tells. It's all that same old monger crap. Oh, I thought she was different. I thought she wasn't like these other women. Fuck, how many times since 1988 have I heard that same old story? And the worst is any of these generic old white guys in a wrinkled t-shirt who thinks that carrying their phone down Walking Street is creativity. These guys in Pattaya, Soi Nana, Bangkok, Chiang Mai, they do the same crap. There's some big fat Aussie guy on Phuket walking down Soi Bangla saying, I'm going to tell you what you should pay for a freelancer on Soi Bangla. Dude, if the day comes that I have to pay what you have to pay, I'll quit. I'll give it up. These guys, these are my least favorite. These guys I hate. These guys don't put any effort into it. They don't put any thought into it. They just, strap a GoPro to their forehead and drive their motorcycle down 30 clicks at Country Road and call that creativity. No, it's not. Those are my least favorite. George Bowman, 50 states and 50 dishes. He has a restaurant, a pizza place in Pizzano Look. George Bowman, Bowman. I love his content. That guy puts effort into it. He's funny. He has an accent similar to mine. He's from Missouri. I'm from Iowa. George Bowman, I dig his stuff. I don't know what he's going to do when he finishes all 50 states, but I hope he keeps going. 77 provinces in Thailand, George. Do the provinces.
He has a restaurant. He has a pizza place in Pizzano Look. I've been talking to him on email, but I didn't know he had a channel.
Yeah. It's called 50 States and 50 Dishes. And what he does is he's been here for like 20 years, and he's been taking pictures all that time of Thais wearing American branded T-shirts. And all these, they have no idea what they're wearing, right? How many guys in Asia are wearing a New York Yankees ball cap who've never been to a baseball game, right? So all these Thais wearing, Bartlett's, what is it? Barrett's Harley Davidson in El Paso, Texas. For some reason, that t-shirt, that Harley Davidson t-shirt of all the hundreds of Harley Davidson dealerships in the United States, Barrett's in El Paso, Texas is very popular here. So he'll take pictures of people with these shirts and he'll tie 50 of them together in an essay about that state. He's got pictures of like 40, 50 Thai people wearing shirts from Rhode Island, 50 people wearing shirts from Iowa. And then he'll do a little video about that state and tie it to something in Thailand. He makes it relevant to the Phalang in Thailand experience. The guy's a genius. He's a folksy Will Rogers homespun bearded old hippie genius. I just love George Bowman. Love him to death.
Okay, I'll check him out, and so everyone else check him out as well. And Steve, we'll leave it there, right? I'll obviously link your channel as well. I aim to be in Thailand in 2024 sometime. I have an idea in my head yet, but I haven't booked flights yet. So if I do, maybe we can do something in Thailand this year.
All right. And next time, when it gets dark, I'll turn on the lights, I promise. Yeah,
No
I'll
worries.
be here, dude. I will be here. The door is always open. Viewers bring me coffee. I got like 20 bags of coffee. Come have a cup of coffee
Okay,
on
perfect.
Turtle Beach.
All right, Steve,
All right.
take it easy, man. I'll be watching I do watch all your videos, by the way, every Friday morning on my way to work.
Thank you.
I watch your videos. It's like my little morning commute on a Friday. Kind of like my start of the weekend is coming up. So anyway, Steve, best of luck, all right?
Thank you, Pete. Best of luck to you and Noon, too. Enjoy Ireland.